هواك الذي ينير الدروب بأنواره.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our brand new program on Hidayat TV, Sky Channel 733, where we discuss pearls of wisdom with Zakira Shyrose. And I am so excited for our show today. And we are very grateful to our guest who's joining us today, as well as Hidayat TV, for making this possible for us, that we can have incredible personalities today, and that we can all learn together on how we can enhance ourselves and be inspired by these great personalities and the work that they do. It is often lamented, and often people complain about this, that the youth of our community and the youth in the world are apathetic, that they don't care about what's happening in the world, that they are interested in video games and on just makeup and social media and all these other things that we hear about the youth, and from the pulpit as well, from the member, we often hear about, the youth don't do this, the youth don't do that. And sometimes this can be very disheartening, very heartbreaking, and very demotivating. But the truth of the matter is that there are amazing youth all over the world. And in my work as a Zakira, wherever I travel, it is the youth who pick me up at the airport. It is the youth who take me to the TV stations and the radio programs. It is the youth who are my personal assistants, who carry my laptop and who get the stuff on the screen for me, who do the AV video work. And also the youth who come to me with the problems of the community that they want to make a difference in. And so I often find myself wondering, is this true what we hear? Are there, you know, kids out there, young people out there who don't care, who are not spiritual, who are not doing anything? Because what I see and what I hear are two different things. Definitely, there are young people who leave a lot to be desired, and we want to inspire them today, but we also want to inspire the community and give them this joyful introduction to this amazing personality that we're going to be talking to today, who will inshallah make us feel that all is not lost, that there are amazing things that people are doing out there and amazing things that people can do. So the topic today is about making the world a better place and making a difference. And here we are going to be meeting an amazing personality. Her name is ZAYNAB Dhalla, and she holds a bachelor's in social work. She has a degree from Toronto, Canada's Ryerson University. And Zainab is an exemplary student. She's been recognized on the Dean's List for academic achievements, and she holds multiple positions in community organizations within the Greater Toronto area, meaning that she is not just an academic overachiever, but she's also very involved in the community and in mainstream organizations around the world. And what's interesting about Zainab is that she is a multiple award winner as well. She's a youth program facilitator. So, as a social worker in her work, she's a youth program facilitator at a very well known organization called John Howard Society, which runs workshops related to building healthy work relationships, preventative education. She's also a facilitator for an organization called the Rivers of Hope. This is a nonprofit organization, uses the arts to unpack racism and Islamophobia. This is one of the things that Zainab Dhalla has really worked on, Islamophobia. And when you see her on the screen, you're going to say, this is a very familiar person. And there is a reason we brought her on the show today. A lot of our viewers have reached out and said, we want to see more about this incredible young person named Zainab Dhalla. And that is one of the reasons that, she has a lot of fans around the world. When I put this information out that we were having her today, actually, a lot of young people were saying from all over the world that we're so excited. Wow. I heard from people in India, people in England, and in Sweden. There are people all around the world who are her fans. And when I say, when I say I'm from Toronto, they say, do you know Zainab Dhalla? Because she's a very well-known figure. You'll see as we go on and we see her face on the TV who this person is. She was recognized as an inspirational woman at Ryerson University for International Women's Day. Now, you've got to understand, Ryerson University is a university in Toronto. And when they're looking at all the people that they can talk about who are inspirational women, they selected this young lady who wears hijab and who is a person of minority in this country and around the world. We know that we have many glass ceilings that we have to cross, and a lot of things that we struggle as women, as women of color, as Muslim women. Zainab Dhalla was recognized as an inspirational woman. Her picture was on posters all over the university. She served as a panelist related to discussing issues around women, such as poverty, leadership, Muslim women in general. She's considered a very inspiring woman all around the world. And people list her as an inspirational woman who has made them aspire for more. So she works with youth. She helps them develop their growth. She's worked with young children who are in underprivileged areas of the city, meaning poor, also single parent households, low income homes. She's seeks to hold these critical conversations with gendered violence, with racial identity. She's worked as a coordinator at Ryerson Center for Violence Against Women, in the sense that women who have been violated in domestic violence, as well as who have experienced harassment, whether it was in the workplace, whether it was on the those women who have been treated terribly by men around the world. Zainab is dedicated to changing those narratives. She talks about raising awareness about systemic patriarchy, internalized misogyny, empowering women to unapologetically be themselves. Recently, she was on a very well-watched conference, over 7,500 live viewers, and women from all around the world. Was called Spirit of Leadership in Women, and she was on a youth panel, and she was interviewing amazing women from around the world. But she herself is an amazing woman herself. She's a spoken word artist. Her work has been watched so much around the world that she's probably one of the few Shia female poets whose work has been watched in some pages, about 2 million times, 2 million views on just some pages on YouTube. To get YouTube views, people know is really hard to get. So over 2 million on some pages, on other pages 1 million, on other pages 600,000, on some pages maybe 300,000. So we go from 300,000 to over 2 million. And I haven't really looked at the latest views, but she's also all over WhatsApp. So her particular one poetry that she did is seen all over the world. And often that's all people know about her, but she's just more than her poetry that she did that particular day. She travels around the GTA, Greater Toronto area, but also around the world. She has performed at Oma, and she's done a TED Talk. She has been on an Oma, the TED Talk. She has performed there. She has also represented her high school, her university, for poetry around the world, and equity symposiums, at vigils, at mosques. She's also spoken at City Hall. She has given her poetry all over the world, as also in City Hall of Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. So we're in Toronto, but she has traveled to Ottawa to speak, also at City Hall Toronto, where she spoke about Yemen and Syria. She had this amazing poetry called is this what we were born for? And she talks against war and about the children who wake up to the sounds of bombs. But look at the pictures as you see across the screen right now. Zainab has also worked around the world. In she's worked in the Maasai population in Nairobi, traveled backpacking in Africa to work with the Maasai and helped make schools with her hand with bricks. We're going to talk in detail about what she did there. The pictures you're seeing on the screen right now is the girls and the children, women, children, men of Kerala in India. This is South India, where Zainab won a scholarship and an opportunity to go to work in Kerala to teach these villagers about waterborne illnesses and how to have safe water in their villages. They talked about that amazing things that Zainab has done. You can see here. They talked about how to do safe water in their cities and in their villages, not in their cities, in their villages. They talk to them about bacteria, and we'll talk in detail to with Zainab about that. And I really like to do justice to my guests by really talking about them before we actually see them, because you understand then that why we are having this person on our show. In 2019, she was one of 7 chosen students, all right, to from her school's faculty to conduct research in this water-wise practice in rural Kerala. And she went with Amrita University, and she went to this place to help women. She said, I really want to do something for the women who are who cook in their home. They carry water from the lake to their homes, but we want to teach them how to have safe water. She has also spoken in front of the Saudi embassy in Ottawa. She's spoken outside the city hall, as I talked about in Toronto. Her poetry has won several awards, first prize trophies at local competitions and poetry slams. And in 2019, she won the Most Dynamic Performance Award at Ryerson University's Culture Jam Showcase competition. What this means is people from all over the university, all from all walks of life, give her their poetry, but Zainab's poetry won. She won the most dynamic performance. She's also spoken her spoken word poetry at big, huge poetry competitions in Philadelphia, USA. Placed 17th out of 66 teams around North America for pushing the art forward, being the first international team to advance to semifinals on stage. Her poems have received, like we said, extremely high number of views. Also on FB pages. So there is one called Islam as a Religion of Peace, and that has gotten over 3-4 million views. That's an FB page. She believes in empowering youth to stand up against oppression and equity and to make a positive difference in the community. She has taken part in serving the homeless at food banks and in building a house for them, like as I mentioned, Habitat for Humanity. She's an active volunteer in her community and serves on the youth committee at her local mosque. She's not only just on the youth committee, but she's also the person who serves water and food in Niaz at the local Imam Barga in Toronto, the Jaffrey Islamic Center, 9,000 Bathurst. We talked about Kenya. In Kenya, in Nairobi, she went with an organization called Me Too We. Again, she won that opportunity to go for 3 weeks and built a schoolhouse for the Maasai tribe. She helped deliver food packages in East African villages and at orphanages with a local philanthropist named Femida Fazal, who's also a wonderful philanthropist in East Africa in a small village named Nakuru. She's an award winner as well, who helps get food to the village in Africa in Mahe Ramadan. And Sister Famida took Zaynab Dhalla, and they went to these villages and helped in planning and fundraising for areas that need education, safety, supplies, food, and construction of schools and water wells. And you see the pictures of Zaynab working with these people. You realize that she's worked all over the world. Also, Zaynab is a trained suicide intervention skilled social worker. She's also trained in helping women with domestic violence. She also works with this program called HYPE. What that does is it targets the prevention of violence through the promotion of positive and healthy relationships. It's offered in small groups for youth age 11 and 25. She's a facilitator in these programs. And what she does also when she works with this Rivers of Hope organization is also she helps make these amazing workshops, powerhouses with amazing workers around the world. What they do is they promote inclusion, diversity, empowerment, understanding for students and educators. So they travel in schools to give these art infused projects and workshops to help youth understand how their lives do not have to be, you know, in a sad and a helpless environment. Well, she also works for Elizabeth Fry Society, and she's a volunteer on a project called Talk and Listen. What she does is she talks to she provides support to incarcerated and non-incarcerated women. So these are, when what is incarcerated? People who are in jail. So she's like a person who talks to these person like a probation officer, helps these people who want to go back into society, or who are stuck in very difficult problems in their lives that doesn't help them come out into the world. So this organization, the John Howard Society that she works with individuals involved in any stage of criminal justice involvement and their families. She helps them get the legal help. Their adult services include partner assault response program. It's called PAR, mindset program, reintegration program, direct accountability and federal diversion program. It's available to individuals 18 plus. And then they also provide healthy youth preventative education hype program. I was talking about the youth counseling program. Zainab does so much that I could go on, and I know that the readers, the viewers, her fans are waiting. They want to know much more about her. They want to hear it from herself. But before we go to Zainab herself, I want to take a moment to for our viewers to actually see her poetry. And I know that when I wanted to feature her poetry, Zainab said, "Hey, I did much more than this. Please, can we not talk about what that particular poetry that I've done?" And I absolutely understand that, because that's what she's become very famous because of that. But she's done much more since that. That poetry she wrote at the age of, I believe she was 16, if I'm not mistaken, and Zainab will correct us when she comes on. And let us watch this poetry that she did, which earned a standing ovation when she actually did it at the age of 16 in high school. But then when she did this at a TED Talk at the Ummah, the Universal, what does Ummah stand for? Muslim, oh my God, I have to look that up. Ummah it's a very famous organization, so we don't really hear what the acronym stands for, but Ummah is what we know it as. And it's a very well-known organization that does conferences and that works for people, Muslims all over the world. But let us right now, if I can ask our producer to put on the video of this poetry that Zaynab Dhalla has been well known for, and so that we can understand why it has received over 2-3 million views and some YouTube pages, as well as FB pages and on WhatsApp. So Kashif Bhai, if you could please show our viewers that video. You're ready to put it on.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm a girl. Let me try that again. Hi there, nice to meet you. I'm a Muslim. Wait, no, that's not right. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm a terrorist. I'm sorry for Boston and Brussels, for Paris in 9/11, for making you uncomfortable in an airplane. Sorry for offending your culture by covering. Sorry that my dietary restrictions are a threat to your health, since apparently eating halal might cause you to catch a disease. Sorry for the KKK. Oh wait, that wasn't me. Sorry that 90% of the terror attacks are from non-Muslims. Sorry for inventing the toothbrush, because who wants good breath? For the clocks and coffee beans, the camera in which you take your selfies, founding the first university, the invention of chemistry and algebra. Okay, I'm really sorry for that one. Damn you, Muslims. I'm sorry to all of you. So I, a terrorist, am handing over the palette to you. Do what you please. Paint me over with the brush called discrimination. Color me in with the colors called generalization. And wash me out with the unbelievable concept of Islamophobia. I find it hilarious how people will tell me and assume that because I am a Muslim, I can't speak English. How the fact that my mother wears traditional Islamic clothing because that is what liberates her. She's automatically assumed as not knowing the Western tongue. See, I find it funny that I'm told I'm uneducated and probably had a hard time learning English, but y'all will mistake the S and the Z. And when it comes down to labeling me, I am a Muslim, not a Muslim. My religion is Islam, not Islam. Sorry for slamming about my Islam. Why is it that I am treated like a guest in my own home? But heck, what do I know? I'm just a terrorist. I'm sick of the backhanded compliments and shocked expressions, the ignorant questions like, but don't you get hot in the summer? Honey, no, I'm hot all the time. To the girl in my economics class who told me that I have nice headgear. Girl, do I look like a football player? Or to my business teacher who taught us a lesson on Islamic culture and then proceeded to show us a video called the Islamic State, showing us the beheadings and brainwashing whilst he himself brainwashed a room full of 30 of my classmates and peers. So let me teach you a lesson of my own. The terrorist group that justifies their indescribable actions with my religion, even though they've never read a Quran, is not religion. Religion is not culture. And sir, that over there is not my religion. So dear Donald Trump, dear people of the world, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the sufferings and the massacres, the bombings and the bloodshed, the attacks and the hurt, but don't you know I'm hurting too? Don't you know it hurts too to stand up here and say sorry for something I did not do? I am not a terrorist. Radical Islam is not a thing because by saying that you're still associating the terror with me. The only gun I've ever fired are the ones with the bullets called poetry. The only minefield I've ever created are the ones that explode with kindness and compassion. Instead of dropping bombs, I drop mics. I don't want to come across hateful and full of vengeance. I'm just tired of having to take the blame, tired of apologizing and having to defend myself when I too am a victim. So let's try it again. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. I am a girl, I am a Muslim, my name is ZAYNAB, and I'm not a terrorist.
Subhanallah, wow. Wasn't that amazing? And if you caught that at the end when Zainab ended, that there was a standing ovation there at Ummah. And thank you to Fakiha Badami from Mumbai, who has very kindly sent me what Ummah stands for, the Universal Muslim Association of America. Thank you so much, Fakiha Badami. She says that I'm a great fan of Zaynab Dhalla, and I've been so excited to watch this program today. And I was so excited I could barely spell and write correctly because I just couldn't wait to see her on screen. So great fans of Zaynab Dhalla there. But wow, what an amazing piece of poetry we just witnessed right now. And that moment you saw at the end, somebody was hugging her, if you caught that at the end. Well, here, let me explain who Zaynab Dhalla is. That was me hugging her at the end. Because Zaynab Dhalla is all of those things that I explained to you about just now. And in addition to all that, she's also my very own daughter. So, viewers, I welcome on air Zaynab Dhalla, daughter of Shyrose and Dr. Mohsin Dhalla. Come on, give me my moment, Zainab. I get to say, that's my daughter right there. Subhanallah, I'm so proud of her. Wait, right there. That's my daughter. And I've been praying that our internet, because we're both in the same house, right? Zainab, thank you so much for being with us today. Our viewers have been so excited to hear about you and from you. And we are excited to hear about this topic that we want to talk about today, agents in the world. Zainab, there's so much we want to ask you about. I think I want to ask you, number one, where do you find the time to do all this? How do you do what you do? I've been known as reading your biography. I'm very proud of what you do. But tell us, how do you make time for all this in your life?
Okay. Alaikum assalam. Thanks, Sister Zakira Shyrose, for that great introduction and also for waking me up this morning to be on this show. And that's a great question. I think time management is a world's mystery. It's something all of us try and ask ourselves, how do we find the time? But it really is about making the time. When you, I think, want to do something, you're committed to doing something, your schedule will free up. And it's true. I think, I'm not going to sugarcoat it that, yes, I have tried to do a lot of things, or I've done a lot of things. But that doesn't always mean I was taking care of myself during that time. I did overextend myself. I was committed to a lot of things. Sister Zakira Shyrose can attest to those things when I'd come home, at 12 p.m. from university, or, extremely late, because I would be in meetings for, university events, or I had to go to events all the way across downtown and such. So there's a lot to sacrifice and to give up, sleep being one of those, social events and such. But at the end of the day, it's just important that you ask yourself, why am I doing all of this? Because, you'll never get that time back. And, they say time is money. But when you dedicate your time towards doing something that you love, it doesn't seem like a chore. It doesn't seem like, oh, I've got to make time for this. Alhamdulillah, I looked forward to all of the things that I've done. When I would have to take, 3 buses to get down to, a place that I wanted to volunteer at, or to do a training, 3 trainings in a row on a Saturday afternoon, and I'd wake up early in the morning and have to commute all the way downtown again on my day off, just to, be committed to working for a certain organization or something, or having to drive all the way down to, North York, to do a STEM club for kids. I enjoyed that, and I loved doing that, and those things fulfilled me. In fact, that's what gave me fuel to sort of dedicate my next week to, to all the other things I had to do. So I will say that there's a lot of sacrifice involved, but it's worth it if you love what you do.
That's beautiful, Zainab. And when you talk about sacrifices, you're talking about the love and the commitment and the dedication. It really shows to me that there's sacrifice, but there also requires a lot of understanding of people around you. You mentioned about coming home late at night, and I know as a parent, I have been quite difficult as a parent, not allowing you to come home late, keeping locators on your phone. Where are you right now? Are you with someone? Who are you with? Mom, I'm literally at a suicide prevention training program. No, I want to see pictures of where you are. And that is a barrier for a female trying to do amazing things that you have, including when you wanted to travel to Masai land in Nairobi or Kerala, or when you went to Kum and did a short course in Hausa there. I mean, these are all things that I have had to grapple with as a mother, to let you go and be safe. Talk to me about the barriers, about how parents who are watching this right now, well, parents of girls and boys, that how understanding and trusting they need to be so that their kids can do incredible things that you are, like you are.
Hmm. I mean, it's difficult. I feel for parents, having to see your child grow those wings and wanting to fly out of the nest, right, and do their things on their own. And I think particularly for me, I've always been someone who's been really drawn to that and has always wanted to do that, especially from a young age. And so I can imagine why it must be more difficult for you in your position. But I would say my advice, or what I would tell parents who are maybe trying to grapple with this sort of tug and pull of their kids wanting that independence, or wanting that freedom, or wanting to do things, is one that you have to really establish trust with them. And at the end of the day, if you are going to create so and so barriers towards them, achieving success, it's only going to create more of a gap between that. Thankfully, because of my work, I get to work very closely with youth. And so I see, a number of different sort of relationships with child and parent and whatnot. And at the end of the day, it really truly comes down to lack of communication and conversation. A lot of youth often feel that sometimes their parents truly really don't know them, and we think, oh, I live in the same house with you. I gave birth to you. I raised you. I know who you are. I know you.
But that's not entirely true, right? I mean, even as youth, we ourselves are constantly learning about who we are. We don't even know that ourselves. But having those conversations with our parents, or having a safe space in the home to explore that, and to tell our parents, like, mom and dad, like, I want to take a trip, or I want to go and do this, and I want to, explore and learn about who I am and such, or I want to take this job opportunity, even if this job opportunity tends to be, far away, or maybe the hours are not as safe and such. It's hard for us because we have to, understand the fact that they are going out into this world, and we question our own parenting, right? About, have I prepared them enough for this? What if something happens to them? How do I deal with that? So it requires a lot of work on your own part of having to let them go. But like I said, just establishing that relationship of trust, love, communication, and support, no matter what, so that if, say, that child does fail, maybe, they're in Nairobi, Masai Mara, like I was, or in Kum, and you're like, oh my gosh, I miss it. I want to come home. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like this, or whatnot, right? Being that support for them, so that they can call you and say, I'm homesick or whatnot, and they can talk you through sort of the challenges that are happening. Even my trips, it wasn't always rainbows and sunshines or whatever. Even on my trip in Kenya, I went with a Western organization. And so I was the only Muslim on the trip, the only African, I guess you could say, since I have some sort of ancestral or historical roots to the land in that sense, which was another reason that I wanted to go. But I was with a lot of non-Muslim people who were Caucasian, and a lot of them said a lot of negative things about me being the only hijabi on that trip, or the only Muslim, or how sometimes I would, correct them on some of the words they would use, and they would say chai tea or something, and they would get annoyed and upset with me, even though that wasn't even a big deal. It was just like common conversation. But it's not easy, and it shows you that no matter what you do, there are going to be barriers and there are going to be struggles.
Wow, Zainab, as you speak, your whole life is flashing in front of me because, of course, I gave birth to you. So I can see all those moments in your life. And one thing that strikes me is we parents often, we're full of pride when our children do amazing things. But in order to enjoy the fruits of that labor, you do need to be understanding and to let go a little bit. It's so easy to say, my daughter is this, this, and this, but you don't want to put in the pain and the letting go and the communication that is required and the push and pull and the arguments. We don't want to do all that. We don't want to let go, and yet we want them to do incredible, amazing things. In my own experience, I stand guilty and corrected. Absolutely, Zainab. You and I have had difficulties. And I think a lot of our pent up anger, resentment, because we're mother daughter, every mother daughter argues. But often it's because you have wanted to make a difference in the world. That's what I want my daughter to do. And yet, I didn't want to let her travel to do so. And often it has happened that Zainab has had to talk to her father. And he, who is as conservative as I am, I'm not letting my daughter out of my house. She's not going to spend one night out of the house alone. You don't get to go to sleepovers. Now you want to travel across the world in Maasai land with a backpack and nothing else for 3 weeks with no phone. And I'm allowed to let you do that. And we've had to fight and argue in this home so that you could do. But I'm really proud of you, Zainab. I'd like to go on record and on air to say that. And really, you are the daughter of a community that wants women like you. But we don't want to let go. We don't want to. We want you definitely be a hijabi, follow your faith, do all these amazing things that you're doing. Also, not leave the house. Also, come home at a decent time. Also, tell us where you are at all times, and also not feel at all. And that was a push and pull indeed. And one of the things when we're talking about barriers, Zainab, is also like, wow, you shared the fact that, being homesick. When you let your parents really, know how you feel and how badly you want to do something, then you said an amazing thing that you should be able to then say, Mom, I'm homesick now. I chose this, but it's not exactly what I wanted to do anymore. And when you have not allowed your children to make choices, then you become that person who says, I told you so. How will a child speak openly about what they're doing and how it's really not the right path anymore, unless you keep those paths of communication open? Um, I know that also doing what you do requires money and getting funding for projects. And you know, when you had to go to Kenya, you had to pay for your own ticket as well as your own stay or something, right? And asking people, can you fund me on this project? Nobody really stepped up to the plate at that time, but your father did at that time. He said, I'm paying for this, and then let's see if you ever come up with the money, you can pay some of it back. How important it is for parents. Who are the great people behind you? Zainab, I do want our Muslim audience right now especially to know how important it is to support your incredible men and women in your family to do the things that they're doing. Please tell us.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really get anywhere in this world if we don't have the support of our family. And alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful that, yes, throughout all of that, my parents, even if they were upset or worried or whatnot, they still, gave me their blessing to go. I wanted to go on my trip. I worked, full time my entire summer. I worked at a theme park and I saved up, and I paid actually for half of my trip, and my father helped me out with the rest. But exactly what you said, Sister Shyrose, how can we expect our children to, achieve these things that we want them to if we don't really let them, or if we don't create that path for them? A huge, one of the benefits of how we get places is through our networking. And a lot of the, connections I made have been through my own family members, have been through my parents and my relatives. And we need to be that for our children, for our families, right? You have to look after your own before you can look out for anyone else. And especially when we want, in this world, regardless of, the double standards that exist between men and women, reality is we all need to be able to support ourselves. And we need to give women these opportunities to, gain success and follow their career aspirations and their dreams, whether that be, traveling across the world, or even just, staying, going to the university that's 4 hours away from home and staying there on residence, which some families, are not comfortable with, about, oh, you're leaving for university or whatnot. But that is the life that we need to let them lead in order to, eventually support themselves. We want our children to be parents of their own one day, but then we're not allowing them to grow and become their own parents in a sense, or to gain that independence and gain those life skills, right?
Absolutely. And we're getting amazing comments from all over the world on our YouTube live chat. There are people saying that, mashallah, love you, from Fatima Worthington of Toronto, Canada. Hamida Hassan Ali from Nairobi, a mother of great daughters herself. Mashallah, that was powerful, Zainab. God bless you. Shamni Sivji of Toronto saying, keep up the great work, both of you. Fatima Worthington saying, mashallah, like a mother, like mother, like daughter. Subhanallah, Zainab, you are great, says Fatima Worthington. And then we have also Nazneen Sajan sending you salam and her love. Some people whose names are not, they have their pen names like Biking Fun, saying that, amazing work. Oh, it's actually Salim Raza saying that amazing work that this young lady is doing. Also, a comment coming in, and some of these comment. Let me just. Sorry, I'm just reading it as I speak. Saying, "Oh my God, wow." You've hit amazing points, and really amazing family. Absolutely. Zainab, one of the things that people often say is like mother, like daughter. And, how does it feel to be from a family where you often have to live up to some ideals and some work? Amazing things they do, but also there must be a pressure as well. And also, is it something you feel like you sometimes want to not even tell people you're my daughter? Or also, does it make you not want to do what I do? I often find people who are children of doctors, which also you have a father who's a doctor, often say, I will never be a doctor. They want to just distance themselves so much from their parents. Tell me about the pressure, the pain, the pleasure, and the high standards. and the frustration and the joy of being a child of well-known parents.
I can definitely say I've never, not wanted to share who my family is because I'm like, oh, the pressure and whatnot, even though, yes, that does exist. But no, I've never been like, oh, I'm not going to say my mom's name. In fact, I've seen that it actually comes in handy, especially when people don't really know who you are. And you can say, I'm, related to so-and-so, or this is my family and such, right? I mean, that, like I said, networking is important, and we're born already into networks, and some of us are a lot more lucky than others that we're born into these like very strong foundational networks. Some of us have to work from the ground up. There's nothing wrong with, I guess, using your privilege in that sense if God has given it to you. But I can definitely agree that there is pressure coming from a certain family, whether that be your father and mother are a Zakira, or if they're just respected members of the community, if they have a great business, or if they were one of the groundbreaking people who built a mosque or something, or even just the shop owner down the street who everyone used to go to and get their clothes from or get their food from, right? We're all so connected in this world, regardless if we're from the same community, culture, or even religion, right? We oftentimes we meet people and we realize, oh, you're my brother's father-in-law, sister's brother's goldfish's thing. Like, we have connections all over. So there definitely is pressure that comes with that, just because we always want to do good in this world. I truly believe that everyone at the end of the day, regardless if they are, good people or not, whatever we, ascribe that to be, but everyone has those intentions that they want to do good in this world, and they want to leave this world as a better person, or in a better place in which they found it. And so there's a lot of pressure to always adhere to that, especially when, we are into families that have certain ideals in which they achieve this through, whether that be Islamic values, or whether that be through, more business centered values. Maybe they believe in, money is how you make the world better, and making money and funneling money back into these other communities and such. Some maybe have more compassionate values, which is about who you are as a person and how you treat others and whatnot, right? And some of us obviously have a combination of these values. But I think more so the pressure doesn't come from having to be like my parents, like, oh, my father's a doctor, I need to be a doctor, but more so about making them proud of who I am, right? So that at the end of the day, I can say, I am a product of how my parents raised me. And, whether it may be I'm, going out of the house and doing things and being independent, which they may not like, but I can always say that, it's because of my parents' support, or even because of my parents' strictness, or upbringing, whatever it is, that made me into this person that I am. As much as sometimes we can often, like you said, resent our family for some of the things we do, and we love them as well, right? Family relationships are complicated beyond belief, because there is always that entanglement, right, of like anger and love and hurt and happiness, right? It's a never-ending cycle. But I think the pressure is more of a positive thing.
Absolutely. The great thing about you, Zainab, is that you're such a perceptive and a very sensible and a sensitive individual. And thank God that you are as a social worker and who does therapy for people, so that you can understand what we are going through as well, with the mother-daughter push and pull and stretching. And often I find people who are not sure of are the ones who want to distance themselves from someone that they're connected to. But you have said an amazing thing. This is a pearl of wisdom, that we, first of all, cannot deny the fact that we're related to certain individuals, good or bad. And you got to own it. You got to, you don't have to use it as much, but it definitely comes, whether you push or pull, whether you distance yourself or embrace it. So, and it's a little bit of both. And sometimes when people say you're just like your mother, a person can say, I'm not copying her, I'm me, this is my individuality. We don't have to. Actually, we're all inspired by each other in this world. And there are in Urdu we say lehja. Sometimes you see somebody's lehja, it reminds you of somebody else, their flavor of talking. Often people will say to me, you recite like a certain reciter, or you write like a certain writer. And I could easily say, I'm not copying them. I don't even know who they are. But sometimes this is what creativity is. It's original, and yet it can remind us of someone. One of the most amazing moments, I think, for me as a mother of a daughter like you, was when we were in City Hall and you were being interviewed by City TV, a very big news station, or was it CBC? I can't remember right now. There were so many cameras pointed at you, so many microphones at you, and here I was. Usually, those cameras are always pointed at me, and you had just given an amazing poetry about and how important it is to have peace, etc. It was for the children of Syria, I believe, and Yemen. And so, what happened was at that time when they asked you, how do you speak like this, what do you know, how do you know all this, and I was standing to the side because I was like, this is Zainab's moment. This is when she gets to speak about what she is about. This is not about me. And you reached out, and this is on camera, and it was on TV, where you pulled me, brought me to the front, in front of the camera, and you said, because my mother has taught me this. And you've done that on radio as well, and something I wasn't expecting at all, because often when we get the limelight, we want to say this is only me. But when I saw how you shared that limelight, and you were able to say, yeah, my mother's had an impact on what I am today, my respect for you went through the roof, because I was like, now my daughter has grown up. She doesn't want to say all me. It's yes, is me, and a little bit of mine too. And I was very proud of you, and I am proud of you. We have an amazing comment from someone from Florida. It's saying that it's amazing you're so motivated and inquisitive. What are some tips that you can share about keeping the energy and continuing to charge forward? How does a person keep going and doing the amazing things that you are? And also, someone asking if that they don't, and they're saying, I hope this is not disrespectful, but I really want to understand. Does Zainab Dalla want to get married? Is she married? How does marriage come into play when you're doing all these amazing things that she is doing? Like, does marriage come into the whole thing as well? Batul Dalla is asking, you're good oh, this is your grandmother. You're good at Quran too. And Fatima, I think Fatima asked you in Dar es Salaam who you were. You immediately answered that you were Batul Dalla's granddaughter. I'm proud of you. Fatima Devji of Dar es Salaam had asked you once. So that shows you that when you mention your family members, and you include them in your success, that you make them feel proud and loved and accepted. I find this is a very important thing to keep grounded. And as you answered the question that was just came from Florida about how do you keep going. By the way, Salim Hassan has said, Gio, long live. Very proud of you. Many people are writing. Nazneen Sajan Muhammad Taki saying, Zainab, that was just amazing. Asad, saying Zinat Ladak ka salam. Okay, she's writing from someone's page and saying this is Zinat Ladak from Mumbai, and we're sending you our salam. These are these are parents of the community, impressed and proud of you. And when you're going to share with us some tips on how to keep going, I also want to tell the world here that today I also understood that Zainab is truly an accomplished individual. You know why? Because my the person I was going to interview today, a rocket scientist, works Farheen Rizvi, suddenly couldn't come to the show. She was invited to another program in Los Angeles, coming live on Wendy Williams' show, I believe. And she said, I'm so sorry, Zakira Shyrose, I can't come. And I understood she had to be somewhere else, but that left me with no one. And how do I scramble for somebody in 40 minutes? Zainab Dalla was asleep at that time because she had been working all night on some project. Woke her up. I said, I need you on TV. Of course, she was saying, no, I'm not coming on your show just as your daughter. And I said, no, you're a very accomplished individual. I wanted to interview you anyway. People have asked me to interview you, but I need you today, right now, without any planning. She got ready. She got, she woke up, she got herself ready, she's on TV in 45 minutes. Also, none of our questions were planned. No, no, not only was her biography, her pictures, everything, we just got ready right away. Thank you also to Kashif Bhai, our producer, who scrambled and got all of this on the screen. But I realized a true speaker and a true leader doesn't say, it's not time for me right now, I'm not prepared. They come on and they say, all right, they roll up their sleeves and say, I'm ready. What do you want from me? And Zainab, that's when I realized you are a true leader and a good speaker who can come on any show at a moment's notice. Thank you so much for that. Now tell us, how do you keep up your energy from Florida? How do you want to continue forward? How are you going to do the amazing things that you're doing? What are the tips that you have for people who want to do what you're doing? Also, Fatima Ali Muhammad saying Zainab is an amazing role model for our children. Thank you, Shyrose, for bringing forth such wonderful people on Pearls of Wisdom. Thank you. Keep watching. Next week, we have the Tijani brothers, and they're going to tell us what amazing things they do. Zainab, go ahead. Tell us. We only have, let's say, 2 minutes, and then we're going to end the program. So, sorry for the short time, but go ahead.
No worries. One, just thank you for all those amazing comments. Sometimes I'm in disbelief myself. Even this morning, as I was woken up, 11 a.m., my hair was crazy in my nightie. I was like texting my friends, like, guys, I'm a fraud. I can't do this. I'm not actually accomplished. And that is something I want to share, just because I think it's so easy to come on air and to show that, done, ready. I'll look at my bio, look at the things I've done. And alhamdulillah, I have done all things. But even throughout all of that, it goes to say for anyone, accomplished or not, though we all are accomplished in all of our own ways, there is always that deep-seated feeling of I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or I doubt myself, or and I often see this even with my mother herself, being like, almost not recognizing her own worth, when I'm like, hello, like, weren't you the one who was in Sweden or whatnot with the thousands of people in the audience? Like, why are you now, not recognizing that, oh, yes, you deserve to have this show, or yes, you deserve to, have people recognize you and give you something worthy of your work and what you do. So we often do, put ourselves down, and it is really hard to stay motivated when we are our biggest enemy. And I think that would be my number one tip, is that don't be your biggest enemy. When you need that motivation, sometimes, yeah, we do rely on our friends, and alhamdulillah that they're there for us, or our family, and they give us these amazing words of reassurance. But we have to be our own motivators. Have those conversations with yourself, even if it's weird. Have those conversations, and tell yourself, what am I proud of myself? Why am I doing this? Who am I trying to make happy? Who am I trying to please? How does Allah fit into all of this, right? Even when we want to do all those things we do, right? When we have good intentions, God will do this for you no matter what. Just as the 15th of Shaban just crossed and I was doing my Ariza, I was sitting there just for a minute thinking, every single thing that I asked Imam for, it's come true. Every single year when I would go for ziyarah, or if I've been for Umrah, I'd always ask for the same thing. Ya Allah, please give me good grades. Please, make my relationship with my family better. Please make all the similar things that I would ask. And now I'm like, here I'm like, oh my gosh, God, not only did you make it so that I would graduate, but I graduated on the dean's list. That is something I never expected, to be completely honest. And my mom has seen this. My first year of university, I had a terrible mental breakdown. I got D's, I got C's, I got F's. I wanted to drop out. I was like, I'm not meant to do this. Even in my third year, I had professors who would tell me, you can't be a social worker. You're not good at this. You shouldn't go into this. And there were moments even then where I was like, maybe I am not meant for this. Maybe I truly am just a fraud, just, somehow making my way through, and I don't know who's looking out for me, but I managed to get here when I really shouldn't be here. I don't belong here. But that's not true. We are here because we do belong here. There's a reason that we are in the spaces we are in right now. There's a reason we have the jobs that we do. There's a reason that we hold these volunteer roles, even when those people telling us, ugh, why is she in that role? She doesn't deserve it. She shouldn't be here. Well, God seems to think differently, and his opinion is the only one that matters. So when it comes to being motivated, I would say just focus on what the things that you are grateful for. And it's a lot Easier said than done, but it'll help you just keep going. Yeah.
Awesome words indeed, Zainab. And we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And our viewers are writing about how inspired they are to have someone like you, a role model for our community. And Pearls of Wisdom, this is what we do here. Alhamdulillah. And if you want anyone that we could have on this show, and profile and highlight their achievements, please by all means reach out to us through the channel or through you can contact me on social media as well. Thank you so much, Zainab, for being here with us. You've shared some amazing pearls of wisdom with us, and honestly, the last part about believing in ourselves and not real thinking that we are imposters, this is what is so important, because often we do not understand our worth. And Zainab tells us here that, you can't when you have good intentions, subhanallah, Allah makes it happen. And I know, as a person who has often been a barrier in Zainab's journey, I've been her helper, I've been her inspiration, I've given her good genes. I'm also the person who stands in her way the most. I often say, no, you're not going. No, it's too late at night. No, you're not traveling across the world. But because Allah is with her, she gets things done. Today when Zainab, I was saying to her, you have to come on the show. She was like, Mommy, I can't. I realized, I said to her right away, I said, there is a plan behind this. Definitely God wanted you to be on this show today, because the person, what are the chances suddenly doesn't come 45 minutes before the show? I could have done it myself, but no, I wanted to have somebody amazing. But look, the amazing person was in my own house. And often we have to defend, why we have somebody where, oh, it's not because my mother brought me here or my daughter is, all those things we don't defend. Is that, and brings us that platform that he says, I want you up there, and nothing happens unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want it. We have reached the end of our show. I'm just waiting for Kashif Bhai to give me the go ahead that we have, maybe a minute or two, because I really, Pearls of Wisdom tries to bring together all these last moments of, summarizing everything that we've learned. Zainab told us about the barriers. There's so many barriers. There's sacrifices. There are people who stand in your way. There are people who create more gaps for us. And also, lack of communication is another thing that adds to this terrible mix sometimes, where already the ceiling is so high, and sometimes you think you can jump and go, but it's the ceiling. It tells you that there is no limit, and yet there is a limit. Sometimes your own parents are in your way. Sometimes money is an issue. The opportunities that come our way, though, we need to take it. And one of the inspiring things about this young lady that we spoke to today is she's also a woman of faith. She's a very spiritual human being. Talking about her Ariza, one of her poetries she wrote was in the Haram of Imam alayhi salam, where she talks about how I'm sitting here in your haram, ya Imam, and I find that I'm unworthy, and that, ya Imam, how do I become a better human being? And your glory and your awe, how do I encapsulate it in a few words? Amazing words that Zainab has written. Her poetry is on the internet, and I think she's also working on her own website and places where she can show her stuff, because she's got so much to share. I think Zainab's story is telling us that, often we are a mixture of our genes and of the people, we're around as well, the nurturance that you get, the inspiration we get, genes, and also opportunities that come our way because God sent them. Sometimes, even if our parents are giving those opportunities, don't fight it. Sometimes you say, I want to do this myself. It's not about being yourself. Allah has sent you those opportunities. And yes, some of us are privileged because we are in somebody's in a home where there is money, there is opportunity. Don't fight that. Use it to get further in life. And what we saw with Zainab, she has helped the underprivileged people of all around the world. I know that at one point, Zainab also, when she was in Kenya, when she went on that backpacking tour, I was really scared. Believe me, I realized that she's going to be with the Maasai, often known as a very dangerous people who can, you can get killed easily. And also, it's in the wild. She was in a tent. Zainab also got very sick there, and she had to be taken by, by emergency local hospital, not a hospital, it was just a little clinic. They had assured us that they would fly her by helicopter if they needed to, but no, they didn't do that. And then that helicopter, forget that van that she was in overturned, and it lost the whole wheel and axle. And there's scary pictures of that day as well, which I found out after the fact. She could have died, absolutely. That the whole, van was on an angle. It was also 2 in the morning. She was having, maybe they thought her appendix was bursting. We didn't know what was going on. I didn't know all this until after the fact. And the pictures that I saw, I was like, how did she survive that? She said, we had to get out of the whole van, was like, we had to be lifted out. And these are the things you do when you do amazing work around the world. Sometimes you put your John Kibazi, you put your life out there. But Allah gets us through it because our intention, as Zainab has said, is pure. Sometimes we are our own biggest enemy, Zainab says. Sometimes we don't realize our own worth. We don't realize we are somebody. We have to talk good things to ourselves, be positive, uh, talk ourselves down from that ledge where we think, I'm alone. Zainab, you are amazing. You are not alone. We're all with you. Our duas are with you. Keep up the great work. We look forward to interviewing you in a few, I was going to say few years, but even in a few months. She's always doing amazing things. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much to our viewers for your amazing feedback. Please keep sending that, and we will read them on air when we hear from people who are amazed and who are very inspired with amazing people like Zainab Dhalla. Amazing show. We're hearing from India coming on. A lot of people writing here. Thank you so much. Keep writing. We want to hear from you. Fatma Ali Muhammad says, actually, the Messiah are very brave, although they're not hostile unless you step in their space. Absolutely. Zainab was in their space, a house for them, and carrying water up a hill to their village. So she was helping them. Of course, they're not going to hurt the people who help them, and that's truly a pearl of wisdom. When you're helping, Allah helps, and the people that you're helping also recognize that. They see it in your eyes, and they hug you. I've got pictures of Zainab being hugged by the villagers of India, and loving her and saying, I will never forget you. And that is what we do. We want to make the world a better place. People don't forget us. We leave a legacy. And with that, duas for all of you viewers, that you also can make a difference. Be inspired by people like Zainab and Dr. Amir Laka, who we saw last week. Whether you are a retired individual who's still doing amazing things, or whether you're just 22 years old like Zainab, who can still make such an amazing mark in the world. We can do it. We can make the world a better place. With that, I'll see you next week, Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Hidayat TV, when we're going to interview the Tijani brothers who are doctors as well. And they're doing amazing things. We will hear from them and how they're making a difference in the world. See you next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.